So seagrasses are an aquatic flowering plant, and they've been in Florida for, I guess, ever since Florida first kind of emerged, about 35 million years ago. Seagrasses have been on Earth for at least 100 million years. So there are a lot of organisms that have grown with the seagrasses, and especially in Florida, they're important not only because we've lost a lot of our other habitats like coral reefs, but because seagrasses perform very important functions, and they're often considered an understudied ecosystem. So, being in seagrasses, like being on seagrass beds, is amazing. It really is. I think coral reefs may be the only ecosystem that could best seagrasses in terms of their sheer beauty, like a healthy seagrass ecosystem. So, like in a lot of ways, I love seagrass ecosystems, and being out in the environment, swimming around, and also helping, like in some small way, like protect that environment or learn more about it, I think is something that's very fulfilling. And I've worked in other environments before, like mangroves, and it didn't really quite hit me like the seagrasses did. So it truly, in my eyes, it truly allows me to be a marine scientist, to literally be immersed in the water and in these ecosystems. So seagrasses have many significant ecosystem services that are extremely important for both the ecology of Florida and the coastal communities that inhabit the state. So firstly, seagrasses are an important nursery for many commercially important fish species. Seagrasses are a food for manatees and sea turtles, so they bring in a lot of ecotourism. Also, seagrasses provide water quality improvements, and they can reduce erosion, and they can also protect homes from storm surges or severe rain flooding events. So to give some background, seagrass restoration's been done for about 80 years. But seagrass restoration is both really difficult to conduct, so it has a restoration success of less than coral reefs, which surprised me the first time I read that. So coral reefs have like a success rate of 60% or something, and seagrasses have a success rate of 38%. So it's like more likely that a project will fail than succeed. So kind of my job is to work on investigating different possible restoration techniques that might help seagrasses, at least in Florida, and especially in places like the Indian River Lagoon. So one of those kind of project experiments basically was investigating struvite, and determining whether or not it emits tons of nutrients, and also determining how it affects the seagrass compared to like a typical fertilizer. My first project actually in the Indian River Lagoon was working with a biodegradable lattice that can help like stabilize the seagrass while it goes through its initial kind of stages of kind of colonizing that environment, because that's a really critical stage for seagrass is making sure that it has a chance to properly root, that it recovers from transplantation shock. So there are a lot of different restoration techniques that are out there, and we need to find more techniques that work in specific scenarios so we can build up our toolbox and be as effective as possible when it comes to restoring seagrass in a certain environment. Well, I think that there are multiple things students can do to benefit the protection and the restoration of seagrasses in Florida. One of the most significant ways is supporting different kinds of research projects that are being conducted at the University of Florida, if possible. And then additionally, getting involved with the laws and legislation, the politics of Florida is really important, because even though you all are in Gainesville, and that's relatively speaking far away from a lot of the seagrass and the associated environmental issues. Your voice has an impact on changing how we interact with our environment. So I think that students becoming more involved and learning more about their environment and about our impacts on it are key to making a change.